Sex. How's that for a cold open?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pale Book Club.
Yes.
This is the second time we're doing it. Second time as in the second book of the book club.
Yeah, and it's if I just say so myself, it's quickly going off the rails.
Yeah.
I really thought, because I don't like looking into stuff before I consume them, as you know, that it's gonna be like a fascinating little weird book, but I would say it's nothing like either of us ever expected.
I downloaded a copy of the book from Google. It's available. And reading through the first couple of chapters, I genuinely thought I downloaded some other version or like some other like fan made thing on Google or something.
Yeah. So the book we're talking about in Volume 2 of the Pale Book Club is Story of the Eye by George Bataille.
Bataille.
Bataille? Okay. That makes
I'm pretty
sense.
sure the L's
I don't know what
aren't,
letters are. Okay, and the E's are also not pronounced?
Probably not. I don't know. I just like calling him Bataille.
Yeah, Bataille sounds cool. Yeah, and it's a short little novella written in 1928. And it's mostly... It's classified as erotic fiction. Well, I think it started off that way. But then I think it goes into something a bit more interesting, a bit more detailed than I was expecting. But yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of porn. It's a lot of people having sex. So well, not having sex actually. It's actually different.
It's weirder. It's something else.
Yeah.
So okay, so I came to know this book from the channel Jonas Cheka, or who used to go by Cuck Philosophy. I've told you about it. I've told you about the channel. It was in his one of his monthly book recommendations thing, or like what I read of this month or this year or something, where he recommended George Bataille's this thing. And George Bataille himself is like is someone I've heard about, not too much about, but I have heard him around. People, the usual videos and like stuff that I read and listen to. He's a French philosopher who he's a philosopher primarily, I think. And the only thing that I've heard about him, except for this book, of course, is The Accursed Chair, which is another book of his. It's another work of his. And yeah, that's how I came to.
About? What is that
I'm
about?
Not sure. I'm not sure. I do know a little. I do know that he is focused on like economics and like sociology, that part of philosophy, like the actual part of philosophy, and not like I don't know the ethics of beauty or whatever the bullshit it is.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and. Yeah, I was not expecting anything at all. I don't know what I expected of Story of the Eye when I heard about it from Chika's video, but here we are.
I think you suggested the book, and I was not aware of it before. So yeah, you were the first introduction I had to this book. I also didn't look up anything about it, but I guess he is a reoccurring character in the book club now. The Better Than Food book reviews. The channel, he has a video. Like if you look up Story of the Eye on Google, his video pops up pretty soon, because it's his favorite book. And I don't want to say too much. I watched a little bit of the video, but I didn't watch too much. But he did talk about that. He auctioned the rights to adapt this book into a feature-length movie. I was like, wait, what? Wait, you want to make this into a movie?
What are we talking about?
The YouTuber who owns the channel.
Wow.
The YouTuber, he auctioned the rights to buy, like the auctions to adapt this film into something that's not. I don't know. I don't know where you even air that, but yeah, he was kind of describing it, and this is before I read the book, so I'm like, okay, I guess it's kind of weird. That's why he said it was impossible. And now I read it, and it's like, okay, I see, I see what he means by that. But yeah. But let's actually get into the book now. You read... Oh, do you have anything else to add?
I also saw that of a YouTuber that we both watch, Man Carrying Things, has a video on it.
Oh
It's
shit!
called
I need to
I
watch it.
Read Cliff Sargent's Favorite Book. It was something. And Cliff
Ah,
Sargent, I have no idea who that is. I just looked him up. He is known for A Quiet Night, Dirty Sex Tactics, and Leopold and His Fiction Cow. I have no idea what any of those things are.
what a
Um,
what a
but
fascinating little roster.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's definitely more content I want to dive into. Maybe after we finish it on a book club.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, for this episode, we read from chapter 1 to chapter 8, which is like about a bit more than halfway. This is a very short little novella.
Yeah, it is short. It is short. I
And
mean, we could have
yeah,
probably like finished it, but like we're busy. We're busy folk.
yeah, we were busy with
We're
other
busy
things,
with our
unfortunately.
empires.
Yeah, and it's actually a happy coincidence that I think we stopped at chapter 8 because a big thing happens in chapter 8, and
Yeah.
it kind of a lot of stuff is said that is like kind of reinforced and expanded the mission statement that, in my opinion, this novel is trying to do. So yeah,
Okay, so
let's get into it.
let's get into a summary or like
Yeah, summary. Well, there's not much to say.
Yeah.
The main character, the narrator, he's never mentioned by name, but I want to call him the Cardinal for reasons that will, become apparent later. And then there's Simone, and then there's Marcel, two girls, teenage girls, and the story is detailing the sexual escapades between the three of them, and just the wild places they go. And
Yep.
apparently there's going to be a turning point from this point on. So I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, that's most of the book. It is kind of presented in this episodic way where you could theoretically just like, maybe imagine you're in the 1920s. You're reading some underground dirty newspaper that like one rich weird guy prints. And then you can see this featured on a column every week. And then you can like read it week by week. I actually don't know if that's how it was published. But yeah, that's the story. But the story is really, the outer, the literal text is really not the.
yeah.
I don't know, like.
It's like okay, so Story of the Eye. So I guess the first thing that like really like got something that you would really notice is how how really raw and blunt the language is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously, the first shocking thing, not really shocking, but like, yeah, kind of shocking thing is that, I mean, this book isn't like a modern book. This is quite an old book. I mean, Bataille himself is like a, what, late 19th century person, 19th century person, or like early 1900s. The book uses a lot of words that I would have imagined only were like invented afterwards. Like
yeah, there were certain parts where it's like, well, okay, I guess they said cock back then as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also like, can I even say that word?
I don't know. Let's try it.
A cunt.
Yes. Oh my god. So I think this is like very early in the story. I had to highlight it here because he was going on, like the narrator was saying something. It was like, and he was saying, but I was unable to see as far up as the cunt. This name, which I always use for Simone, is I think by far the loveliest of names for the vagina. I was like, oh my god. And yeah, actually, I think words come into play. I mean, as short as it is and as famous, well, relatively, this novel is, I feel like there's definitely, you can pour through a lot of the different elements and symbols in this book, but I think words is definitely one of them, because later they go into this whole thing about like what words, like associations, what kind of things is there, and that's definitely a part of it. But yeah, the language is definitely very, very visceral, like very just like, they are doing things to each other.
A lot of things actually, and also like there's like stuff like even in the acts that they are doing, it's not just that they're having sex in a weird way. It's like they're doing things that like feel otherworldly, even not
Like,
specifically in that. So like in the first chapter, I think Simone. I think there's a sentence somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the document open right now, but I think it says something like Simone was having sex with the earth because like she was masturbating,
No,
covered
I
in
think
mud.
yeah, she was covered in mud and like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. They are specifically noting that actually the sexual act, as in like penetration, doesn't happen until
Yeah,
way later.
yeah.
Like they're just
Yeah.
kind of. It's definitely more of a fetish thing where they're just like kind
It
of
is. It is. It is.
pleasing themselves while indulging in whatever they're feeling. Like, and whatever they're feeling is really interesting. And yeah, I want to highlight that the first thing that happens in this book that's kind of I guess you could say preposterous is when the two meet or something, whatever, and they go to Simone's house. These
Yeah.
two guys just like seem normal for now, right? Like, this
Yeah,
guy's
yeah.
commenting on genitals, but that's fine. But then Simone turns to him after seeing a saucer of milk for the
Yeah.
cat of the house,
Yeah,
and he's like,
yeah.
"Milk is for the pussy, isn't it? Do you dare me
Yeah.
to sit in the saucer?" I was like, "What? This is like almost a Lynchian in how like abrupt it is."
Yeah.
It was like,
And
what?
also, I think we forgot to mention Simone is his distant cousin.
Oh right, yeah, the very distant
Yeah.
cousin, incest.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
Yep.
Anime fans will get a lot out of this.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, like, I'm not really familiar with a lot of erotic literature. I am not from the 1920s. I don't read sexy little books in the covers. But yeah, this was certainly an experience.
Yeah, I mean,
a
even
lot of
like
it
the
was
stuff that I've
yeah.
read for my Eroguro video. I mean, not a lot of stuff. I've read some, and I've read about a couple of stuff. This amount of explicitness isn't something that's like commonly seen at all, really.
Yeah, and it certainly guarantees this book, no matter what, is gonna stir something in you, like
Yeah,
disgust, like all these kind of emotions, like really visceral book. Like sometimes, well, I read it. This is like really short, 50 pages. I had
Yeah.
to take breaks. Just like okay, sometimes maybe I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm a
It's like
pussy little boy.
it is very blunt and like very very edgy all the time. Sort of.
Yeah.
Not maybe not edgy isn't probably not the correct word, but like yeah, it is just that all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very visceral, and it seems to keep escalating
Yep.
as what starts off as the self-contained exploration that teenagers have between like Simone and the narrator's bodies, and then they start involving like all kinds of shit, not just
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people, which results in like a half orgy, half murder thing. We'll get into
Yeah, it is
and
like
then
a huge
they,
yeah.
and then they talk about like the wind and like all these nature things, like really large concepts and how they relate to the debauchery that they're indulging in. It's fucking. It's definitely a book that I can see. Like if you say it's your favorite book, I won't be like, I'll be like, yeah, I can see it. Like honestly, I can see it. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Then okay, in the first chapter, there's like the I guess the chocolate trails, or what do you call it? Yeah, the clues for like something deeper is like
Yeah.
I can see even in like the chapter in the first chapter where they're like they don't have like sex. Instead, they just stare at each other, which gets them on.
They just come. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is all there's interesting stuff in it, especially when you look at what follows in chapter 2 with child orgy. Oh wow, is what I've what I've noted down. Which is which we'll talk about. So basically, these two have sex in the first chapter or whatever, and then they meet I guess a girl named Marcel stumbles upon them, and then they I guess coerce her into joining them, and then in chapter 2
that's still in the first chapter. Yeah.
yeah, that's the first chapter, and then in chapter 2 they gather more people around the same age as them, and also Marcel, and of course themselves in Marcel's place. And then they
you gotta note. You have to note that This is the quote. That was the period when Simone developed a media for breaking eggs with her behind.
Oh
Go
yeah.
on.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Uh,
Oh yeah, eggs. There are a lot of egg shit
uh,
in there.
okay, but continue with the summary.
Yeah. So in the second chapter, they gather a lot of similarly aged teenager, like young people, in Simone's place, and then Simone is starts off like a party or like a gathering, like hangout thing, and
Yeah.
then Simone dares people, she bets that she could piss herself. Or like piss on something on a dress or something.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
everyone's like,
yeah.
no, you can't do that. And then she does it. And like a lot of other people, a lot of other girls too, are now open to doing it. And so they also do it. And then some stuff happens. And then Marcel is like naked and then locked into a wardrobe, and she pisses herself
Yeah.
and then masturbates.
She gets stuck there for she masturbates and gets stuck there until everything kind of like settles down, and then people are like, oh shit, that she's been locked there for a while, and then she opens, and then I don't know, probably like adults get to them, like, what the fuck, and they send Marcel to some kind of cellar, like containment center.
The orgy itself is a very interesting thing, because the language used is like a dance between opposites as in like intense pleasure and ecstasy, and also like pain and death.
I actually think that this is I don't know.
Yeah?
I wouldn't say that they're opposites. I think for Bataille and Bataille.
I'm getting to that
book,
because I heard this from Julian de Medeiros on YouTube.
My favorite self-help guy with a really shitty lighting on Instagram.
Yeah, only on Instagram though. So, the word for orgasm, or like a euphemism for orgasm in French, is petite mort, which means little death.
Oh, wow! Really?
Yeah. Which is very interesting because they not they, but like orgasm and like the climax of pleasure is I guess understood as very close to or like a neighbor to death itself, where like you lose yourself in a cosmic I don't know, wave of ecstasy. Which we kind of see in the orgy scene, where it's like there's blood and there's sweat and piss and semen, and everyone is in pain, but like at the same time it's also incredibly pleasurable, and it's like it's the epitome of earthly joys and everything, and it's also at the same time painful and nauseating. So it's like go ahead.
This book is very, very interested in the secretions of humans, like all kinds of secretions,
very much,
and like liquids, and like the way they're used in the book is like, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, it's a fixation of the book, and I think even in the first chapter you were talking about chocolate trails, like there's a section when they were talking about how they stumbled across a person who, I think that's the first chapter, right? They crashed into somebody and somebody died, and
that's the first.
Let me see.
And then that turns them on.
Yeah, like they were absorbed in the sight of the corpse, and quote, the horror and despair at so much bloody flesh, nauseating in part and in part very beautiful, was fairly equivalent to our usual impression upon seeing each other, which is sex. And it's like that initially already sparks something, like, okay. I feel like, especially with later things, with how Marcel ends up, it's kind of like that. To Bataille, these kind of debauchery things, it's like, I'm probably using this wrong because this is not what it means in psychoanalysis, but like it's a death drive. Like they're barreling towards death, and death is the end point of this. Like it feels like.
Actually, I think you're like right in using that term.
Okay, then that's good. Yeah, like this is a sex for them, like this kind of not even sex, like fetishistic egg breaking. Yeah, it's like they're barreling towards death, and I don't know. It's fucking powerful, and
it is.
It's weird for sure, but yeah, it's unlike anything I've ever read.
And I guess
Yeah.
there's another aspect of it is like how Simone treats her mother, who, like, yeah, it's like
She just like kind of is like I don't know, like Simone starts off as being, I think, kind of normal, but then she just describes this person who only cares about, well, getting off, and everything else is kind of like, I don't care, like I don't care about this anymore. And her mom is just
Yeah.
kind of like, what happened to my child? Why is she like this? And that's pretty funny. But yeah,
a lot
think,
of eyes come into play, I think. I
yeah,
mean,
but
again, it is
that's a
called
bit
the story
later.
of the eye. Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time, because like I think there even in the first chapter, there's the cat's eye. Isn't that like the title of the chapter, the cat's eye, or the eye of the cat, or something?
Yeah, but like
Um,
I don't know why though. Like the cat's eye isn't mentioned in the actual text, so
Yeah, I think like the eye, the motif of the eye is something that appears all throughout, and I don't think the eye necessarily have to be like an eye, because even later on they compare eggs to eyes. So
yeah,
eggs
that seems like a
yeah.
more that seems like a more direct, like, I guess, association. I haven't figured out like what eye means in all of this, and
I mean,
with
it does. I mean, there's probably
with the egg,
no. There's probably no like direct translated metaphor or metaphorical translation of the eye. But yeah, and then there's also. So I'm reading. There's a section in the Wikipedia for the story of the eye,
Yeah.
where it's the interpretation of the thing of the story by Roland Barthes. Where Roland Barthes.
What story?
He I guess emphasizes how like there's something. Again, Roland Barthes is like a post-structuralist. I think at his time, a structuralist, analyst, or literary critic, and Barthes' analysis focuses on the centrality of the eye to the series of vignettes, and notices that it is interchangeable with eggs, bull's testicles, and other ovular objects within the narrative.
Okay.
And he also traces a second series of liquid metaphors within the text, which flows through tears, cat's milk, egg yolks, freaking urination seeds, blood, and semen. Which we've seen that. So yeah, there's something going on. We will get to it in the next part of this thing. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll understand because we are big brain people.
I think it does give out the impression from everything, because the edition I was reading, right, the beginning, before the text, they had the pretext. I didn't read it because I was like, I want to get to the text, but they were talking about like Susan Sontag and people like that. I was like, huh, okay. Like it feels like Bataille is definitely a thinker who has influenced a lot of people, and a lot of his work is probably better understood if we know more context. And as a context, I'm actually genuinely interested to learn, because like, what the fuck? How this doesn't just pop out of nowhere? I don't believe it. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested in that. But yeah,
it doesn't fall out of a coconut tree.
for sure.
Yeah.
In the second chapter, the antique wardrobe, it's kind of one of the motifs is established is Marcel screams. It's like shrieks and snarls, and at everything is happening. So Marcel is this character who, in the second chapter, she is the one who's like, please let me out, please don't let me. Yeah, she's kind of like the only person who's like not actively not wanting to do this, but she eventually locks herself up and starts masturbating. But yeah, she's the one who's like, I think in a sense representing, for at least the main character and Simone, something innocent that they can corrupt. And later that becomes more apparent with the third chapter, which is literally titled Marcel's smell, right? And holy shit, like this book is so, the word might be confrontational, not edgy. Maybe that's what we're thinking, because the fucking
or visceral.
the characters, the characters, like the main character, he is like, mom, please don't call the police. I'm gonna run off somewhere because I have a gun and I'll shoot the policeman and then myself. It's like, God, okay. Yeah, it is really exciting, I guess. Not exciting. Yeah, I'll say exciting. To see characters that are so single-minded in their pursuit of something that's not material. Like that's very enthralling to read.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they were talking about how like they can't imagine not doing their debauchery without Marcel there, and it's not really stated why exactly. I could guess that it's because they want to corrupt something beautiful, but I think that there's probably more than that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay. So moving forward with the plot, I guess.
Yeah.
So Marcel gets taken into a sanatorium. Sanatorium. How do you pronounce? Yeah. And then they bicycle or cycle. That's how you say it. Bicycle is not a verb. Cycle 20 kilometers to the chateau where she's held. I guess they were planning to like bring her back. They were planning to like see her, and they go in, and then there's like a window that isn't barred, and so our narrator, Cardinal, I guess, enters the building, and then he takes off his clothes for no reason, with his revolver, and then he sees like what. Like ghost things, not exactly ghost things, but like he sees the curtains as like he perceives them as like ghosts and shit. And then there's like a naked lady running, and then that part is like very dream-like in that like it doesn't make sense per se, right? It's
I think I don't think that's a ghost thing. I think he was just looking at like a curtain being kind of
he like perceives it like in like a weird way, as in like not exactly as a ghost.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like it was talking about like this is a harrowing racket of like pure white sheet, and they were talking about the fury of the wind, like the nature is described so brutally here, and how it's like going against it. Like I guess some really strong wind is blowing this curtain, and some guys holding it. That's at least how I'm picturing it. And then in the middle, they see some kind of a part that's moist, and they're like, oh. They keep using the word tossing off, which I've not really heard that ever. But like, it's Marcel tossing off, of course.
I've seen tossing off in another doc. I have two documents because the original one has like a couple of missing pages, but in the first document, which I think is an older or a newer one, it just says jacking off, and also I think in the newer one it says semen, or like the older one says semen. I don't know. The newer one says jizz or jism or something like.
That's, okay. That's, I don't know. I think jizz is like, I don't know. I don't think that fits.
It's not exactly jizz, but it's JISM or like JZM or something. It's not exactly jizz.
Oh, okay. That's very odd. But yeah, he meets this old woman. Not old woman. Like he sees a naked woman.
Wait. Sorry. It is JISM, which is a semen.
What?
It's an originally U.S. English thing, which first attested with the meaning energy in 1842 and with the meaning semen in 1888. So yeah, it makes sense.
I see. Okay. But yeah, more about the ghost thing. I wanna look at this thing I highlighted. Quote, it is hard to imagine the harrowing racket of that vast white sheet caught in the squall. Squall apparently is like a large gust of wind. I didn't know about that. It greatly outroared the fury of the sea or the wind in the trees. That was the first time I saw Simone racked by anything but her own lewdness. She huddled against me with a beating heart and gaped at the huge phantom raging in the night, as though dementia itself had hoisted its colors on this lugubrious chateau. This book is well written. Like
it is a lot of big words, and like not big words, but like fancy words.
Yeah, I don't think fancy words itself is like a sign of good writing anymore. I think it's just the ability to evoke emotion, and evoke image just like fucking hits you. That's really one of this book's better aspects, despite how much of it is just like fucking. This part just kind of again shows that they're not really doing this just to do this. Like they're not just like having sex, not like doing their fetishistic things because we like it. No, they're trying to get to something that's more. Like they're I don't know. Like they're enamored by something that's outside of themselves, and that's fucking I don't know, powerful.
And also like the like like the sex stuff itself isn't. I mean, I haven't read a lot of like porn as such. I don't think I've read any porn except for the
Yeah.
Aragudo stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I would imagine that that stuff would probably be written in like a more inviting manner. This even like Roland Barthes himself in the Wikipedia the part article. What do you call it? Article? I don't know.
Yeah.
He says that it's more than. So yeah, he argues that he does not believe that Story of the Eye is necessarily a pornographic narrative, given that these structuring chains of metaphors do provide coherent underpinning sequences. So yeah, I don't think it's a pornographic narrative either, because how clinical it almost is while describing what exactly like materially happens. Whereas I don't think if it were trying to titillate the audiences, it would use such a raw and like that kind of language.
Okay, but I think a lot of it is pretty like at least passionate. Like this part, oh god, this is gonna be so demonetized. So this part in the fourth chapter, I highlighted a little bit, because again, it kind of highlights the reality. Like this is something that's beyond the flesh. Like they were talking about, like when suddenly it seemed like so the guy is chasing around the naked woman, and then suddenly Simone appears and they start having sex again. But yeah, it's like when suddenly it seemed like all reality was tearing apart. A hand moistened by saliva had grabbed my and was rubbing it. A slobbering, burning kiss was planted on the root of my and it's like, wait, I mean, like that seems like it's trying to be at least like describing the fucking ferocity that these two are going at each other, and that I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's pornographics. Yeah, obviously, but I think it's definitely trying to also be titillating, because it's an emotion that I think this book is definitely trying to evoke.
I mean, I guess the first disagreement of the pale. I don't know.
I also haven't read any like porn books, so maybe I don't know how it's like. So
I mean,
we're not
okay. So here's the thing: like the content itself may be titillating, but I don't think the form is intending to be titillating. Although there is like again in the orgy, how the pain and like the mixture, the cacophony of like death and pleasure and ecstasy, that stuff is like very stylishly written, but like what they're doing itself, it's very vulgar and like obscenely material, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I do agree that. This is not really, maybe not titillating, maybe obscene would be a better way to describe like everything that's happening. I can imagine somebody reading this and just being like, oh, okay, well, I don't know, just kind of laughing at it because it's just so outrageous. And I am a sheltered little Asian kid, so don't take anything I have to say about sex seriously. But yeah.
Then moving forward, Simone. What happens? Simone, I think, falls down on the bicycle, and like she catches like a cold, or not a cold, but like she catches some kind of illness, and she's bedridden for a while.
But that's before, So in chapter 5, chapter 4, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, they saw Marcel, in the window, but then she was like, trying to masturbate, but then she gets pulled away for some reason. And then they're like, okay, I guess we're out of here. So they're both entirely naked, riding a bicycle down some kind of thing, and they're just like, they're
and then the bicycle
their...
ride itself is like a thing because Simone is like,
obviously they start jacking off there as well. But it's just the level of like wariness and just exhaustion and dirt and on everything is just like it's a very striking sequence.
It is like, it makes you feel kind of dirty and like
it makes me feel like, what, like how did somebody think of this? So let me see. This part I don't really get it, but this is more of the death drive thing I'm talking about in chapter 5. I want to quote it because it's beautifully written, like
Yeah.
everything. Quote, and it struck me that death was the sole outcome of my erection, and if Simone and I were killed, they were riding down the bike, then the universe of our unbearable personal vision was certain to be replaced by the pure stars, fully unrelated to any external gazes, and realizing in a cold state, without human delays or detours, something that strikes me as the goal of my sexual fuck you, a geometric incandescence among other things, the coinciding point of life and death, being and nothingness, perfectly fulgurating. And it's
Being
like,
and nothingness. Fuck yeah. Hegel
fuck.
mentioned.
that's fucking, I don't know, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
This book might be good despite all the, we haven't even talked about the egg parts yet. So
Oh yeah,
So, yeah,
I mean the egg part really kicks into gear when she is bedridden and like he is hiding in her room, and yeah, they do shit with eggs.
yeah, it's just like, you know, they don't even like, you know, okay, so they first like crack eggs, I guess, but they also just like put eggs into the toilet.
The toilet bowl,
and,
yeah.
And then they're like, I guess sometimes she pisses on the eggs, and sometimes the guy eats the eggs afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's just, oh, okay. Urinating definitely becomes more of a, I mean, it's already been a thing, but here it really becomes a prominent thing as Simone talks about how, oh, I want to hold it in longer because that makes me more aroused or something like that. And speaking of Wikipedia, I think I looked into this a little bit because this is actually a kind of fetishism called omarashi fetishism.
And I saw it when like looking it up because like there's also a weird kind of like I guess I don't want to say but the dialectic there as well because because like okay so bear with me for a second.
Okay.
So piss and semen come out of the same place, right?
Okay.
But they are kind of diametrically opposed, as in what is piss? It's if not like useless dead stuff, right? It is excess. We don't
actually
need piss.
Scientifically they come out of two different canals. Go on.
I don't care. I don't care, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, that I mean that doesn't matter because they come out of the same place, right? But semen is like the opposite of piss because semen is actually useful. It is life, right? So I think piss and semen and like their like opposition, like their almost central opposition to each other, is interesting. And also since you know like the pissing itself is like a huge part of how all three of them, like all of them in the book, derive pleasure, and not just from ejaculating. Yeah.
My mom asked me an hour ago, son, what are you trying to do? I was like, mom, I'm gonna record a podcast about something. Okay. There's definitely this is the part where eyes also becomes more of a symbol, right? They see eyes in the eggs, and this is one part where they're talking about how Simone is virtually drinking the narrator's left eye between her lips. And it's like, you know, I don't know, like the eye is just such a constant symbol that starts appearing now. And there's this part I want to quote because it's about the word association thing that I initially mentioned. Quote, upon my first asking what the word urinate reminded her of, she replied, terminate, the eyes, with a razor, something red, the sun, and egg, a calf's eye, because of the color of the head, the calf's head, and also because the white of the egg was the white of the eye, and the yolk the eyeball. The eye, she said, was egg-shaped. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means, but it's interesting.
Yeah, we haven't finished it, but we will see. And it is like, it's very cool to like, it's not like a direct metaphor or like a direct thing that like a layman can like piece together. It's not like I don't know, my 10th grade, or not 10th grade, even like now, my 12th grade English literature, this is a metaphor and this means this. It's not like that. And I like that. I like the complexity. I like the unconventionality of how he uses symbols.
Yeah, the symbols are definitely, I think, worth revisiting. Maybe. Well, it depends. Like, I don't know if I want to read
Wait,
this
wait,
over
wait,
and
wait,
over.
wait.
Yeah.
Reading a bit into like the Wikipedia article, Icelandic experimental pop musician Björk once declared
Huh?
Story of the Eye to be her favorite book.
Oh, oh, Bjork. My mother, Bjork. No, really? Wait, okay, wait. Let me
Yeah.
look. So for her 1993 song "Venus is a Boy," that's like one of her first. Oh my god, a music video was. Oh my god. And oh
Takes
my god,
inspiration from the
there's a
plot.
music video where she cooks eggs, and then she cooks eggs in the sensual and suggestive bed. No. Oh my god, that's incredible. I need to watch the video. It was like,
Yeah,
what?
me too,
I
me
love that
too.
song. Oh man,
Damn.
that is wild. That is. Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That came out of nowhere. Bjork. Goddamn. That makes sense, right? A lot of her stuff, especially my favorite album, Vespertine, has a lot of like weird sensuality and yeah, the stuff she talks about. But okay. Another thing that I found interesting is that it's the way the characters communicate with each other, because they don't really. They don't. There's like no dialogue is ever described. I don't remember a single time where they actually like had dialogue. It's mostly just, you know, the narrator describing everything that's happening. And also they say in chapter 7, they quote, by a sort of shared modesty, Simone and I had always avoided talking about the most important objects of our obsessions. I think this is the whole idea of like what they're doing is transcending beyond language, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, like compared to like, I don't know, maybe I need to look more into like his philosophy to know what he stands on language as like a post-structuralism maybe. But yeah, it's interesting. All right. I think.
And then okay, let's barrel towards the end of like this section,
Yeah.
as in like chapter 8 is when, so basically after the egg stuff and the being bedridden Simone stuff,
Yeah.
she gets better enough to ride the 20-kilometer bicycle back to the chateau, and then they do go, and then this time they come prepared to free Simone, and then they free
Yeah.
Simone.
And then like, okay, okay. I want to mention that. So just in one of the lines they say, I had been wearing a blinding red carnival novelty, a Jacobin liberty cap. I was like, well,
Yeah.
Jacobin. Oh yeah, this is French. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I had that jump scare for a while, but yeah. So Marcel, she talks about this image that she saw of this cardinal. This cardinal, a priest of the guillotine with the blood-smeared executioner wearing a liberty cap, a bizarre overlapping of piety and abomination for priests, explained the confusion, which for me had both, you know, whatever. So basically, it was talking about how when the narrator opened the door, you know, she saw this contradicting image of a cardinal who was also covered in blood and like piss and semen, and like, and this is like,
Oh, that's such a like a really interesting. That is like a weird kind of Silent Hill boss.
yeah, for sure. And the mention of the cardinal reminds me of the judge from Blood Meridian a little bit.
Yeah.
Like just the way, you know, this kind of title was used in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit muffy on the details, but I guess she dies. She's just they rescue them.
She kills them.
And then
She kills herself because
yeah, she gets
sees
hanged.
She sees the thing. Fuck. What do you call it? The wardrobe. And then she realizes she realizes that
she realizes that it's him. It's the narrator who's the cardinal, and then she hangs herself. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Also,
but,
okay, I'm also a little weird. And I'm also a little weird. I'm also a little, I'm also a little hazy on the details of what exactly it is being conveyed. But it says something where, did the narrator do something to Marcel that
I don't think so. I don't think so, because they're talking about like how they just don't know what to do with her. Like I guess we got her, and then just, you know, he starts talking about like just I'm a bit, maybe I should read it again, but yeah, I just remember most of the stuff I remember in this chapter is more like the philosophical
same
stuff, and the details of the events themselves is kind of weird.
Yeah. And this chapter, chapter 8, it's called "The Eye of the Dead Woman," and it's probably it's referring to Marcel. And then after like getting her down, she hung herself. After getting her down, Simone and the narrator have sex, and this is the first time they have sex.
Yes. And I want to quote this part. I observed Simone, and as I precisely recall, my only pleasure was in the smutty thing Simone was doing, for the corpse was very irritating to her, as though she could not bear the thought that this creature so similar to her could not feel her anymore. The open eyes were more irritating than anything else, even when Simone drenched the face with piss probably. Those eyes extraordinarily did not close. We were perfectly calm, all three of us, and that was the most hopeless part of it. And it's just, okay, I need to say this part beforehand. So this is a bit before, and this part is fucking, oh my god. So long passage. So basically, he's talking about like, I stretched out on the grass and what is it? Something about my astral sperm. Awesome, awesome phrasing over there. And yeah, they were talking about how, he's staring at the sky and the liquids flying around as they indulge and everything. And they talk about the idea of like why people, here. To others, the universe seems decent because decent people have jaded eyes. That's why they fear lewdness. Jaded eyes, again, another eye thing.
Yeah.
They're never frightened by the crowing of a rooster or when strolling under a starry heaven. In general, people savor the pleasures of the flesh only on condition that they be insipid. But then, I did not care for what is known as the pleasures of the flesh because they really are insipid. I cared only for what is classified as dirty. Right, I was not even satisfied with the usual debauchery because the only thing that dirties is debauchery itself. While in some way or another, anything sublime and perfectly pure is left intact by it. My kind of debauchery soils not only my body and my thoughts, but also anything I may conceive in its course. That is to say, the vast starry universe, which merely serves as a backdrop. So the universe is second guess to my fucking piss. It's it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a lot of where this is going, and like I guess you can kind of apply the same stuff that I said about Eroguro to this as well, which is like the drive to transgress, right? And then like even like George Bataille himself, even looking at, I've heard he's known for his main interests: eroticism, theory of sovereignty, sacredness, mysticism, surrealism, transgression, literary criticism. And transgression, he's like a philosopher of transgression, I've heard someone say. So I'm really interested to see where this is going, and also interested to see who this guy is. Especially since like he has like inspired people like Foucault and Derrida.
Probably,
and also
I saw something about that.
Also, the guy, also Jean.
Who? Lacan?
No.
Oh wait, that's Jacques.
That's Jacques. The Jean, the big Jean.
You mean Baudelaire or what?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay. It's like, I was trying to say that part to lead to the connection with the death drive, because in this chapter they see the thing that they are ending up as, this person who you could say just because she saw somebody who she thought was scary, but I think you can take it more metaphorically as like she reached through reuniting with Simone and narrator Marcel, reached like her pinnacle of like debauchery, and then she died because of it. She is kind of confronted with the inherent contradictions and the fucking the contradiction between something beautiful, something holy, and blood and pain. And she looked at that, and then her eyes, she died while opening her eyes. And it's just and their reaction to it is so interesting because they're like, I hope it like goes somewhere, but I'm not sure because a lot of the story is episodic. But it's just the open eyes were more irritating than anything else. Like, what will they think now that they've seen what their death drive leads to? And it also seems like the main character, he's starting to be like, maybe I don't care about these two anymore. Like, so I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yep.
I got pretty passionate while talking about this because this is a really this book gets you going. Hopefully not in that way, but in some other ways. I mean, yeah, if you're into popping eggs and drinking raw eggs with your beloved, do what you like.
Beloved distant cousin, yeah.
But yeah, oh my god, that was George Bataille.
Yep.
I'm so looking forward to actually finishing this, and also reading and like just looking into more about his
Yeah,
stuff
same.
as well. Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Let's see. I had
that'll,
a
yeah.
no. You got to remember my famous segment that is not yeah, my famous segment that's only happened once. What I listened to while reading this book. Curious's reading playlist. It's kind of weird because I did not decide. I mean, I did not anticipate this kind of tone and the content of the novel. So when I was putting something on, mostly put on like some calm acoustic music, and I was like, okay, that doesn't fit. So I put on Death Consciousness, and that kind of fit a lot.
Oh yeah, that's very good.
Death Consciousness is much more of like a cerebral sadness. Like I can't detect the passion in it, and that's very intentional, very distant. But it still also kind of fit with this like ultimately, oh my god, fiery, whatever the fuck is happening in this book. So yeah, I recommend that. Listen to it. I think you're a big fan of the album as well, right?
Yeah, I am.
Death Consciousness. Have a nice life. Have a nice life. I need to say it right.
Have a nice
All right.
life.
Have a nice life. Well, with that, I think we can conclude this episode of the Pale Book Club. Let's make silly noises because I feel like this episode has been intense.
Okay. Ow.
I feel like I'm eating something. I don't know.
No, it's just you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.